Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is absolutely crucial. Seriously, this could quite literally save your home, your bank account, and just your overall peace of mind. We're talking about navigating the sometimes tricky and honestly potentially risky landscape of hiring contractors right here in Louisiana. Because whether you're building a house from the ground up, recovering from a massive storm, or maybe you're just doing a big kitchen remodel, who you hire matters. It matters immensely. So we're going to break down exactly how you can protect yourself and make sure the people you're bringing onto your property are actually qualified to be there.
So let me ask you this right off the bat. Are you planning a project and need to ensure your contractor is licensed in Louisiana? Please, don't risk your investment. We're going to learn how to verify licenses quickly and confidently. That is our whole mission for today's explainer. If you're anywhere in the planning stages for construction, renovations, or especially post-disaster recovery, I cannot overstate the urgency of this. Making a mistake here, it can cost you big time. But taking just a few minutes to verify, that's going to give you total confidence.
Okay, so here is our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at 1. The risks of unlicensed contractors. 2. The Louisiana State Licensing Board. 3. A step-by-step license verification guide. 4. Red flags and FAQs. And finally, 5. Your next steps. Let's jump into Section 1, the risks of unlicensed contractors.
Look, you're the one holding the purse strings, right? But you're stepping into a landscape that can be surprisingly dangerous. The state of Louisiana does not mess around when it comes to unlicensed work. Contractors caught working without proper credentials, they face some really harsh legal and financial penalties. We're talking fines of up to 10% of the total contract value or a flat $5,000 per violation. There's also this recent piece of legislation, House Bill 924, that cracks down super hard on what's called license renting. That's basically when an unlicensed person tries to borrow or rent a legitimate contractor's credentials to get paid. If you hire someone engaging in this stuff, you are putting your property and your entire investment at serious risk. Think about it. If they're willing to cut corners with the law, what on earth are they going to cut corners on inside your home?
And those risks, they bounce right back to you, the homeowner. See, unlicensed contractors usually don't carry general liability insurance or workers' compensation. So what happens if a worker falls off a ladder on your property? Or what if they accidentally back a truck into your neighbor's fence? Without those insurances, you could be the one held financially liable. Add in the super high likelihood of shoddy workmanship and the simple fact that unlicensed workers literally cannot pull the proper local building permits, and you've got a total recipe for disaster. Work that isn't up to code might have to be completely torn out, and guess who pays to have it redone? You do.
Moving on to Section 2, the Louisiana State Licensing Board.
Now, this seal you see here represents the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors, or the LSLBC for short. You want to remember these guys because they are your absolute best shield against construction fraud in the state. They're the official governing body. They set the qualification standards, they administer the exams, and they enforce the rules. Basically, if anyone is doing legitimate major construction work in Louisiana, they answer to this board.
Now, you might be wondering, is it just one big generic contractor license? Well, actually, no. The LSLBC issues 4 main types of credentials. You've got the commercial license, the residential license, the home improvement registration, and the mold remediation license. The exact license your contractor needs depends entirely on the scope and the specific type of project you're hiring them to do.
So, how do you know which is which? Let's break down the numbers. Because Louisiana is a strict monetary threshold state. For commercial projects, a license is required if the job is over $50,000. For new residential construction, that threshold is $75,000. If you're just doing a home improvement project, they need to be registered if the cost falls between $7,500 and $75,000. And this one is wild. For mold remediation that involves water, a license is required for any project valued at just $1 or more, literally just one single dollar. And here is a really critical detail you cannot forget. These thresholds apply to the total cost of labor and materials combined. Even if you go to the hardware store and buy all the materials yourself, the value of those materials still counts toward the threshold that dictates if your guy needs a state license. Also, there's a massive legislative update you really need to be aware of. Looking ahead to 2026, under Act 757, residential, mold, and home improvement contractors are now required to carry a minimum of $500,000 in liability insurance. $500,000. This is a huge win for consumer protection. That strict minimum is specifically there to protect your assets if something goes catastrophically wrong on the job site. The LSLBC actively monitors this too, so if a contractor lets their insurance lapse, their license gets immediately suspended.
All right, Section 3, Step-by-Step License Verification. Okay, so how do we actually do this? It's a super simple 3-step process. Step 1, get the contractor's exact legal business name, or even better, their license number straight off their estimate or proposal. Step 2, grab your computer or phone and go to the official portal at lslbc.gov/contractor search. Step 3, query that database. You want to make absolutely sure the record in the database matches the name on your paperwork perfectly. Don't accept a name that's just kind of close. Once you find their profile, confirm that their specific classifications actually match the job they're quoting you for. When you pull up their profile, pay attention to the status indicator. That is the whole ballgame right there. You want to see an active status. That means they are fully compliant, they have their insurance, and they are legally authorized to do the work in Louisiana today. But if you see an expired or suspended status, massive red flag. Huge. That means they've got a lapsed credential, maybe some unresolved consumer complaints, or they drop their insurance. If you see suspended or expired, you stop right there. Do not sign a single thing until they get it resolved. And honestly, this is my favorite feature. Let's say you're literally standing out in your front yard talking to a contractor. You don't even need a computer to check them out. The LSLBC has an Laba Contractor mobile app you can download. Or even easier, they have a text-to-verify service. You just take out your phone and text the license number to 855-999-7896. I'll say that again, 855-999-7896. It's just an incredibly convenient way to run a quick background check without ever leaving your front porch. Which brings us to Section 4, Red Flags and FAQs. The Cameron Parish Police Jury actually put together some great scam warning signs, especially for after a storm. Be incredibly wary of unsolicited door-to-door sales pitches. Watch out for those high-pressure scare tactics. You know, the guys who tell you your roof is going to cave in tomorrow if you don't sign a contract today. Never, ever trust a contractor who demands large chunks of cash up front. And absolutely refuse to do business on a verbal agreement without a written contract. These are the classic telltale signs of out-of-town scammers looking to make a quick payday and disappear. Let's also clear up a really common misconception here. Myth versus reality time. Myth: if a guy has a local business license, he's a licensed contractor. Reality? Absolutely not. A local occupational license just means they paid a tax to the city so they could operate. It is not the same as a state contractor license from the LSLBC. Also, let's get this straight. FEMA does not license or certify contractors, period. If somebody knocks on your door claiming to be a FEMA-certified contractor, shut the door. They are lying to you. So what happens if you run the search and nothing? The contractor just isn't in the system? Well, a not found result means you need to hit the pause button. It could just be a simple typo in your search, or it could be an out-of-state worker who hasn't registered in Louisiana yet. Or, worst case scenario, they're operating completely under the radar, totally unlicensed. The play here is to ask them directly. Say, hey, I couldn't find your license online. Can you provide proof? But whatever you do not proceed on their verbal assurance alone. Demand to see the actual proof. Finally, Section 5, your next steps. Let's wrap this up with an ultimate verification checklist. Before you hire anyone, run through these 4 things. Number 1, know your project's dollar threshold. Remember, that's total cost of labor and materials to figure out what license they even need. Number 2, get the contractor's exact legal business name. Number 3, look up their status and make sure it says active on the LSLBC website or through that awesome text service. And number 4, never, ever pay cash up front. Taking these few simple steps is hands down your best defense against construction nightmares. Now, before we say goodbye, I do need to read this disclaimer clearly for you. This explainer is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as legal advice. Always consult with a legal professional or directly with the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors for specific guidance tailored to your situation. Keep that in mind, and please consider sharing this explainer with your neighbors, your family, or any friends who might be planning a big project or recovering from a recent storm, because knowledge shared is a community protected. Which leaves me with just one final question for you. Who are you going to verify today? Your home is your sanctuary, and it's likely one of your biggest financial investments. Keep it safe, do your homework, and build with total confidence. Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer today, and I'll see you next time.